Paul, quick, come up with a scheme to get back at the neighbours across the street from you, aside from stealing the fruit from their trees.
Kick in their windows, break in, set light to the living room and toilet, steal the wife, and leave your calling card.
What a scheme! What a jape!
It's a harebrained madcap scheme, Paul.
Don't forget to completely violate all of the post that they've got. Just lying around the place.
You put their toothbrushes up your butt and then leave a photograph somewhere fairly hidden that they'd only find once they're midway through brushing their teeth.
At the point when... Hide it where you usually look at photographs whilst you're brushing your teeth. Put it there.
On my own chest in the mirror.
In the mouthwash. What's this? Oh no!
He's a genius. Actually a genius, though.
He's a pesky Christmas genius.
I'm glad I've got his butt juice on my toothbrush.
Mate, you need to see someone about that juice. It's just... I don't know what's going on, but it's not right, son.
Oh, it all comes out in the podcast. Literally.
Best time to tin it. Of crap films, la 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 la. 'Tis the reason we keep crying. La 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 la. It's not actually even in the top 5 reasons, guys. I'm Paul Salt, and this is the most clothes I've worn in years.
I'm Wrong Way Finch.
Author of To Kill a Wronging-Bird. He's a character in it, not a writer of it. Doesn't even make sense anymore. Doesn't even make sense. Yes, it's Christmas again. You know what that means?
Aww.
Dreadful festive film, Christmas song, and the annual consideration of Kirk Cameron and his arguments. I believe him. I believe anything. Because I'm a member of the British public.
This episode's 2 weeks late.
This episode was recorded 2 weeks ago, guys. It's a hell of a mood.
The only downside really to being an episode ahead of your recording schedule.
This year, we are taking a family-friendly look at Deck the Halls.
In the peaceful town of Cloverdale, Dr. Stephen Finch was Mr. Christmas.
This is a busy time of year, so we have to have a game plan. All must-sing caroling requests to be submitted in writing.
Until the competition moved in.
Who moves in the middle of the night?
I'm Buddy Hall. We just moved in across the street.
These are my babies. Can I live here?
Daddy, come look. You can see every house in the country from space.
Where's our house?
You can't see our house.
Just hoping that one day I'd do something big. Buddy.
Around here, I'm the Christmas guy.
I don't think so.
Now they're going head to head
Watch and learn.
for the holidays.
That's gonna swell up.
It's John Whitesell's 2006 Christmas horror film about Matthew Broderick preying on the innocent, and also Danny DeVito, who reprises his role as tragic supervillain, the Penguin.
It reprises his role as man with the same face as Robert De Niro. But nothing else like Robert De Niro.
That's amazing.
He's got the same circle of face. It's incredible.
We should make him a 3-man for his sins in the other things that Robert De Niro has done with us. What's he done? New Year's Eve? Was there another?
Yeah, New Year's Eve and...
He was a dreadful bad guy in something, wasn't he?
Something.
Yeah. Something film.
Something.
Something.
Danny DeVito's circle of face, you are now a 3-man.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo.
Take that, we'll get the rest of you. Critics reacted to this film like a lump of coal fired at them from across the street. Nell Minow at Movie Mom says, another year, another cheesy, hypocritical movie about how the true meaning of Christmas gets lost in the madness of Christmas, except that this movie is in itself Exhibit A in the Christmas madness category. What a category to be in.
Who wins that?
I mean, it's
and how would you win it?
True meaning and Christmas madness, the 2 categories. So,
Okay.
You've got to start sorting through it.
Which one does Die Hard fall into? True meaning.
True meaning, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
The true meaning of Christmas is yippee-ki-yay. Mick Shager at Slant Magazine says, nothing says Christmas quite like incompetent slapstick, saccharine sermonizing, and cavernous cleavage. I don't know if you noticed cavernous cleavage was in the film. She played the mayor.
Wasn't she in Death Game?
She sure was. Oh, God, and Nicolas Cage loved it. Wasn't even in it. The public, on the other hand, welcomed it into their homes like festive muggers. Astro92 at IMDb said, here we go. I found Deck the Halls to be a very enjoyable Christmas motion picture. Based on the award-winning novel.
Feature film. Prestige piece.
This movie's gonna get people talking. The movie here is somewhat interesting. Wow. And the principal cast are all very sophisticated. Very.
What on earth?
Many of the scenes included herein made me glow with happiness. I was extremely amazed by just about everything that this movie depicted. The shot of a brick. Whoa!
Oh! Yes!
The filmmakers really outdid themselves. Also, I was delighted when I saw that DeVito's offspring here were portrayed by a set of beautiful twin teenage girls.
A set?
Yeah, a set of them. A complete set of teenage
What a beautiful
girls.
set of twins you've got. They're mine now.
What a great vat of twins. Oh, God. My eyes got big every time I saw these characters, Ashley and Emily, were on the screen. Seriously, these two cute gals really had me captivated. They were so hot!
Christ. I just really... It was funny, the first line, and then when I realised that actually half of the review was going to be about seriously how hot they were. Actually, guys, I don't think I hit this home enough.
You know what? I better lean into this.
I'm nasty for these teenage girls.
I want to pull on their hair and run away.
I mean it. Don't think I don't. Your dad.
I'm not... Just believe it. Everyone. Seriously.
Right.
I'm not a loser.
Right. I do.
All right?
All right.
All right, kid. Dr. Alice H. Hearn. Good. We get some authority here. Maybe a diagnosis of the previous reviewer. Dr. Alice H.
These girls are so hot.
Medically speaking, woo! Says, my 5-year-old really enjoyed this with me. This is a little... And then the review ends.
This is a little.
This is a little. I assume what she meant to say was... Oh, sorry, there is a little, is how it ends. Just, yeah, there is a little. I assume what she meant to say is... I assume what she means is there's a little town in Bethlehem where still we see thee lie, above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in the dark streets shineth everlasting life, the hopes, the fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary, and gathered all above, while all mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wandering love. Disc didn't play, 4 stars. I assume that's the rest.
My doctor's always saying that.
Oh, my doctor is what's his name? Baker, Tom Baker.
Danny Baker.
Is Danny Baker, famous murderer of Bob Marley. Danny Baker is my doctor, my GP. He's a dark horse.
Watch out for him.
Don't let him kill you. Reggae artists. The movie has 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, 28% on Metacritic, 5 out of 10 on IMDb, and 43% of the vote from the British public.
Topical.
It's still topical. Unless they've reevaluated, it is still topical and will be for the next 5 years. Oh god, the film was nominated for 3 Golden Raspberries, including Worst Excuse for Family Entertainment, which it lost to RV, directed by Barry Sonnenkat.
Oh, really? Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get around to it. It's got Robin Williams in it.
Oh,
yeah.
Look, some films do.
Look, man, I didn't want you to find out like this, but
it's not always great.
It's about time we had a talk. Now, there are lots of two men. For some reason, this movie has a lot of actors in common with The Predator.
Okay.
I don't know if Neil Breen had a role to play in sort of ferrying them from one place to the other. What if the ferryman over the river...
the matchmaker.
I ferry people from one movie to the next. Get into my creepy boat. It's clean. It's all clean.
Points at his face.
But in terms of three men, we only have Lachlan Monroe.
That twat.
That absolute chump. Who played Lieutenant General in The Predator.
Yeah.
And also Greg in Little Man. And in this is uncredited as Ted. He's a good one-syllable guy.
Ted Bedford.
He really has he has a face for one-syllable guys. I bet he was one of the dudes in the car vendor.
Oh.
You know, there were some dudes.
Oh,
I bet he was a dude.
What's his...
He feels like a dude.
What was his name?
Sean O'Brien. No, sorry, Lachlan Monroe.
Oh, that's not the guy from Scary Movie and Dead Man on Campus, is it? Let me have a look.
I have no idea. Are you familiar with the works of Lachlan Monroe?
I am familiar with the words of Lachlan Monroe, actually. He was in a film called Dead Man on Campus, which had Zach from Saved by the Bell in it, where him and his roommate had to get a roommate to kill themselves so they could pass their first year of college.
Oh, those japes.
Yeah, they're just classic 90s japes. And Lachlan Monroe was in it, playing the same character he always plays. It's fantastic.
Oh, that classic Lachlan Monroe archetype.
Yeah. He engages in some classic police baiting and then a car chase and drives off the road. It's amazing. Lachlan Monroe. Now I know your name, finally, after all these years.
But we also have Sean O'Brien, who plays male cop in Mother's Day, one of the ones presumably who holds a gun on that poor naked man. And Pastor Edwin in New Year's Eve. I'm not sure I remember.
Well, according to Google, he's also an Irish professional rugby union player from Carlow Island.
Ooh, another dark horse. Many dark horses this week. I have some very distressing news.
Oh.
Obviously, we all expected Matthew Broderick to become a three-man with this. But it was only then that I realised that for some reason, Inspector Gadget was not included in the three-man database.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Okay.
What's wrong with this system?
I learned it from you! It's a dark day for us all.
You didn't.
Very dark day. Fortunately, Matthew Broderick is the only three-man who nearly escaped. I've put them all in now. And it's okay, because he was also in New Year's Eve. He was also in The Predator, playing the titular Predator.
Was he in New Year's Eve?
Yes, remember he's Sarah Jessica Parker's boss, who shows up in a limo in one scene to tell her to get the lights on.
No, I don't remember that at all.
You better go back and watch New Year's Eve, man.
Oh, okay. I'll do that. We'll cut this together. It'll be seamless.
And
yeah,
he's back.
Nice.
Nice. Love it.
Three-man in the bin.
Now again.
Wonderful man.
Once again, on this most festive of seasons, I gathered my little family around the television, freezing and starving. And we all shared... Tiny family. Just keep them in a pocket. And we all shared the holiday duty of watching this tinselly nonsense. So I shall be featuring their kind words and gentle laughter throughout the episode. This is a subtitle sample. Now, is that large enough? Because you can get the subtitles
No, that's
larger.
perfectly all right. For God's sake, get the bloody thing going and get it over with.
Are you sure? I feel like we should customise some of the...
Excellent.
So, Paul...
Well, we all look forward to that.
So, Paul, you haul.
Ding-de-ling-de-ling.
What's one thing about...
Oh, I've been decked.
No! Oh, I just got the ambiguity of the title. Shyamalan.
Yeah. Great, eh?
Yeah. What's one thing about Deck the Halls that made you visible from space?
Matthew Broderick is just a law unto himself, and
he's a maverick. You can't tell him. He won't be told.
He is. You can't tell him, actually. You can't tell him what to do. He insisted on wearing the fake teeth from Inspector Gadget in this movie. And it was only after a court order that they were managed to be ripped from his face.
And yet he had only to reveal less probable teeth underneath. Yeah.
The teeth of Matthew Broderick.
Beneath teeth. These are my beneath teeth.
Beneath teeth.
Oh, I hate Matthew Broderick. Don't like that. Like his whole sitch. It's unpleasant, frightening. Speaking of which, in this he plays an optician, and yet he's the one who has trouble seeing things clearly.
Oh,
amazing.
That is wonderful, actually.
Yeah. Danny
DeVito plays he's a sort of jack of all trades. In this film, he starts as a car salesman, and yet he is a moron.
That was the first joke of the film.
Oh.
Well, anyway, Broderick lives in a town with some wacky Germans and some creepy old people. At least one of whom wears women's underwear. What a hilarious concept!
Imagine that.
I can't. And I won't. I don't have to. Look who the Prime Minister is.
Yeah. I don't have to look at the world.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
It's Christmas. So he gathers his family around.
Oh, yeah.
His family is, his wife Charlotte, who is still the worst. She always is. She's perfectly nice in this, but she's the worst. His daughter, Maybe Bluth, and his son, Carter. He wasn't in a memorable sitcom. Broderick is creepy for a bit and then gets out the advent calendar. And per Christmas tradition, goes straight to day 3.
As we all wish we could with this film.
Why isn't there a picture of the advent calendar behind the first one?
Ah, there should be, yes. Unearth advent calendar.
Day 2 recover from the excitement.
Yeah, he just loves Christmas so much. He loves the tradition.
Oh, he loves the tradition.
Of all the Christmas presents and the trees with the family, and he's gonna let his son chop down the tree, and he's gonna take another photo of them in their Christmas jumpers, and he's lovely. Everyone in the town loves him as well.
He loves he's a regular Kirk Cameron. He loves the breakdance contest. He loves the fire. He loves the traditions. He loves the stories.
And he loves non-believers.
Oh, he loves them. He just wishes that we could tell these stories and not put them in a box, and that the box might contain... And then it just goes on for 12 minutes. But who's that pulling up outside of the house, I wonder?
Oh no! I only saw the film poster once, Paul. I have no idea.
I only saw the left side of the poster and thought sold, and didn't consult with the right side of the poster.
That's Danny DeVito.
He's spazzing out on me. Look, he's having a seizure. Well, I got tasered once. It looked exactly like that. And I'm man enough to say I wet myself.
Who are you?
I'm Buddy Hall. We just moved in across the street. You don't happen to have a cat, do you?
No.
Oh, good, because I was moving in last night. I accidentally dropped a fridge on one. Thank God most of it got away.
Yes, it is. He shows up.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick says, who moves in the middle of the night? A meth lab? Mummy, what's a meth lab? Damn you, Broderick.
Darling, take your brother and run. We've only got one chance.
We've only got one chance. He's distracted with that analogy that he's clearly happy with. Run. Now's our chance. If you watch carefully, Charlotte in several shots is just looking around to see if it's her opportunity to try and run away. But it never comes. Never comes. Broderick's too savvy.
Nonchalantly throwing keepsakes into a briefcase.
Sweetie, why do you keep all of your stuff packed into this suitcase? Just so I know where it is.
Convenient, yeah.
Yeah, you know. Oh, where's my precious, precious jewels? Bottom of a very large suitcase.
Okay. Seems fine.
Makes sense to me. So, the wife makes a joke about the person who's moved in is not a meth lab, it's Danny DeVito.
It's as far from a meth lab as you can get.
He's a meth lab. And
a method lab.
A method acting lab. And he shows up with his scantily dressed wife. And he comes over initially to steal the newspaper, but is caught in the act. And this is the first impression he gets to make. And the wife comes over and makes a joke about the visibility of Matthew Broderick's wiener.
Yeah.
Looks like we got a visitor.
Whoa!
Don't put the little guy away on my count.
And Charlotte responds as if it was really uncouth to point out the Broderick's visible junk. I mean, really? This is our home.
Free country and all that. If anything, he should have just been high-fived for maintaining that 15 minutes after waking.
That look. That dishevelled morning look. I like the idea that this year's Christmas family episode is going to be a wrestle. In which I have to try and pull back.
It's family friendly in the sense that Spawn is family friendly. I'm playing the role of the Violator this Christmas.
Hello, everybody. I'm here for the nativity. I shall be playing the role of the Violator.
Come on, kids.
I thought you locked the door this year. He always gets in.
Oh, God. I've sworn so much in these notes.
We get to meet Danny DeVito's two daughters, and I start to radically reassess who the target audience of this movie might be.
You got to have something for the dads, haven't you?
Something for the dads, and if the wife's cleavage, the cavernous cleavage, wasn't enough, you've got to introduce a couple of teenage daughters for everybody to find very hot.
Are they the Olsen twins?
Whilst I'm contemplating this, my family revealed that they are experiencing this film at two very different speeds.
Yeah, but the standard trope is that they're all too busy making money and don't understand the full meaning of Christmas. That's what they all boil down to.
Isn't he Matilda?
Yes.
Both true.
Both true.
Yeah.
Right on the money. We then get the strangest introduction of a concept ever. We're about 15 minutes into the movie. We've had a very unfunny scene where Danny DeVito shows himself to be an excellent car salesman. And now we need a premise. And a very important line gets said. The daughters are looking at the laptop. And he says, "What have you got going on here?" And they say,
It's my Earth.
My Earth?
You type in an address, and you can see every house in the country from space.
Really?
And you can see every house in the country from space. Word for word, that is what's said. You can see every house in the country from space. Every house. Every house in the country from space. Except ours.
From space.
Ours can't be seen, for reasons that will not be explored in the making of this, in the telling of this tale.
Maybe a technical malfunction or something, Dad?
Yeah, maybe. Just black spot,
maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? Anyway, DeVito decides that because he's so invisible by being such a brilliant salesman and generally well liked by everyone around him with a gorgeous wife and two hot daughters, because he's so invisible, he decides he's going to try and get all the lights on. All the lights.
Yeah, all over his house.
He gets this idea when he steps on a light bulb, and that gives him the idea for light. Oh, yeah.
Light bulb moment.
Ah, you see?
Well done.
It's better than waking up the next morning, going out and staring up at the sun until his retina's burnt out.
I've got an idea! Ah!
Yeah.
Dad's retinas are burned out again. No.
Not again.
Guess we're going to need to
Danny
have another one
DeVito.
of the daughter's eyes put inside his head. And the third daughter's like, not another one. As she stumbles around the kitchen.
I don't know why they must be hot. Like, you just don't understand eyes. Ask Matthew Broderick.
It's the only way this Robert De Niro salvaged face works. So I've got the hottest eyes I can get. Broderick comes over and complains about the lights to Danny DeVito, but then concedes that maybe he overreacted. And it's just the concept of Matthew Broderick overreacting. Oh, gee. I better do something about this.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
Sorry to fly off the handle like that.
He goes, maybe some more morphine, and everyone runs in. It's like, no, Matthew, not anymore. No more morphine.
Just a little more.
Just to hit the sweet spot.
But it's sled time.
It is quite clunky. When was it made?
2011?
It should be better, really.
Broderick dies, and the rest of the movie is a post-death dream.
I mean, that's all we can hope for. But the film is... Danny DeVito is a lovely guy, and he does a lot of things very well. Matthew Broderick just refuses to
join in or be part
anything but challenge him.
Yeah, and doesn't participate and just argues all the time. But there is some legitimacy there. There is a bit where he's looking out the window and notices that Danny DeVito is stealing electricity from them.
I think he's tapping into our power.
Yes, and in the process, he is stealing our very souls.
I mean, that's really going to it's really going to increase our bill, you know. That's all. Just trying to balance the books, dear. Fine, I guess I was the one being unreasonable. Let's just let him steal the energy. Run a cable across a busy street.
God, I definitely want a divorce. Which one of you said that? It's hard to say.
It sounded identical. The son comes up to him at this stage and says, Dad, maybe we can take our annual trip to the mall, get some hot chocolate and shop for Mum's gift. And he says, we don't need to spend time together, son. I picked out this gift from a catalogue. And there's just something about the idea of Matthew Broderick ordering an item from a catalogue is the saddest, most emotionally boring thing I've ever considered in my life. Just, it drains me.
And yet it was cut from the film.
Do you need my address? No? I already gave it to you, of course.
Yes, I'll hold.
So you don't have to sing. Whilst, oh, sorry. I get tense and then I sing.
When I sing, people die.
God.
His eyes rotate to the camera.
He looks right into it. Oh god. He's got 5 Christmas trees growing in a lot for some reason. The lot just allows this. Can I have one of those? Nope, those are Matthew Broderick's. Do not ask questions, just run.
No!
Oh god. A Final Destination chain of events happens that leads to the trees being burned.
Yeah.
Started by a spark generated by a metal axe on a wooden tree. Great, science.
What was the petrol can doing sitting there anyway?
Comedy. And somehow Broderick blames DeVito for this, even though God feels like the more likely suspect at this stage, based on what happened.
Well, I mean, God or DeVito is basically the same thing. It does make Matthew Broderick's next actions understandable. He decides to solid snake it.
Well, he tries to have choir practice first, but DeVito starts playing rap music, which old people absolutely love.
Yeah.
So they have to go over and
90s old people all about rap.
They love it. This is shortly after the two mums have come up with a concept to have a book of real recipes for real mothers, because no one's ever done that before.
Nope.
Brand
never,
new.
Never. Feminist revolution.
DeVito's house has become a news story, as has his mission to make his house visible from space.
I really want my house to be seen from space. Oh my God.
You can see every house in the country from space.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
No one's checking Snopes, are they?
Yeah, imagine a house visible from space.
You can see every house in the country from space.
Never heard of it.
No.
So, why isn't the story, Why can't anyone see this house from space? What's going on? Is it Matthew Broderick's fault? P.S. It's definitely Matthew Broderick's fault. Broderick's car is blocked in, and then Toxic Masculinity the man shows up and dares him to just gun it through the hole, which isn't big enough. Which works on Broderick. Broderick has to look up the word frustration in one of our human dictionaries, and then offers up his interpretation of what that might look like. And, yeah, at this stage he decides, enough is enough, I'm going to the police. The police chief chastises him for being a bit sensitive, but then says, you know what, okay, he's causing a nuisance. Well, I'll help you fill out the form. Uh-oh, though. He's wearing women's underwear, and Broderick gets frightened by this and runs away, and never comes back to see the cops again in this movie.
Next scene is him with Toxic Masculinity guy having a beer that he doesn't enjoy.
Drinks anyway, and forces his son to do the same. We get a tender scene with DeVito and the wife, where he admits that the lights are dumb and that he should take them down, and the wife insists he keep them up, because something good is bound to come of it.
I'll take them all down tomorrow.
No, you touch one bulb on that house, and you've seen the last of my special holiday offers, and I think you know it.
You just said they look stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy. But all good ideas are crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You brought this on yourself.
Boobs lady.
No, he goes... He just dressed up like Solid Snake. He goes in and decides to cut the electricity to Danny DeVito's house. Instead of just asking him again to turn it off, or actually just going to the police.
Actually going and staying with the police.
Yeah.
Instead, he's got to get pooped and vomited on.
That's disgusting.
No, get away from me.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, he falls in some camel poo.
Who produced this? Is it part of a sort of...
The director directed Big Mama's House 2.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Tom.
Yes, I think we can see a pattern emerging here.
He does throw a snowball at the fuse box, which was very, very good. And the sun's up a pole. It's all good. It's all a family occasion. And then Danny DeVito...
there's some pillow fighting.
Oh, yeah, some pillow fighting.
Such Christmas.
Twins. Nothing like it. And then,
yeah.
Danny DeVito finds out that Matthew Broderick cut the fuse to his house by throwing a snowball at it.
In spite of his excellent counter-espionage measures, DeVito figures out that it was the guy who hates him that did it.
Dressed like Solid Snake.
Dressed like Solid Snake. So, well, I mean, he decides to frame him for the theft of public property and forges his signature, costing him tens of thousands of dollars.
What a nice guy.
If only the police wore underwear I approved of.
Well, he sneaked in the night and put up a tree, decorated it, did all of that.
Decorated it with immaculate taste, like a shop front.
But no, at this stage, Matthew Broderick's a fugitive, and Danny DeVito is just a small Robert De Niro from Mean Streets.
Things are going to turn bad for him, because it turns out when you get a new job, you do have to show up for it.
Which is really annoying.
You have to get a bit of what do you call it, grace, just consider, what's the word, a rep. You have goodwill. You have to build up some goodwill before you can take a solid month off to mess around with some lights on your house.
To fart around with lights on your house.
So he gets fired, reasonably so, and so in order to fund his habit, he sells a valuable family heirloom belonging to the wife to buy more lights.
Not before challenging Matthew Broderick to a skating competition.
At the Christmas fair. I love this sequence.
Thus taking more time off of work.
It's the Christmas fair, and it's part of that traditional small-town Christmas tradition where a bunch of scantily clad young women take to the stage to rive about for the benefit of everyone.
Fine.
Broderick remains completely still, but starts shouting, "Who's your daddy?"
Yeah. Well, you're a guy, right? Yeah, come on. Hey, is it getting hot out here, or is it just you girls? Oh, nice dip. Wow. Ow.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Woo.
Hey, baby, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
From a stationary position, with a blank look on his face.
We're so happy to perv over until we turn around and you realise that they're own daughters.
Yeah, it turns out they're human beings.
Do you know what?
Because he's seen humans do this on the television he was received.
The really sad thing about this scene was, apart from the fact that I could see what was coming, is that I could really imagine it. as well in any town.
Really?
There's just a guy. It's not always the dad of Maybe Bluth, but
but just standing there saying out loud to his community and with his wife nearby, "Who's your daddy?"
It might not be the community leader, I'll give you that, but it would be a guy. Or, nowadays it could be a woman as well, and I think that's wonderful.
Excuse me, who's your daddy?
So there's that bit where Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick are yelling sweet, sweet abuse at their own daughters.
They're lusting after the bodies of their own hot daughters. And then they go for a race.
Yeah. Where all the sins will be absolved.
Except that an old man falls over and nobody helps him.
Skate law.
Track life. Sorry, old man. Ah! My eyes.
Matthew Broderick cut my face off with his skating blades.
Sorry, what did I miss? I got momentarily distracted. What were they doing?
Nothing.
Sliding
about the place and just generally, I don't know.
How
Not even something you could really put into words.
No, not me.
It's just a lot of nothing.
It's a lot of nothing. Christmas joy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so they have this race to determine who is the ultimate man and who gets to do whatever they want with Christmas, apparently. And Danny DeVito wins by pure luck because Matthew Broderick trips up and then trips up the two hilarious Germans.
Yeah, and trips over the old man who was on the just on the track. So
who cares about him anymore, Paul? He
God.
voted for Boris Johnson.
He's dead for me. He's mayor of an American small town. You know how many American small town mayors voted for Boris? God.
He's head of the Border Patrol.
God. So the wife, having enabled this addiction earlier on, now decides to leave him because he's proven dangerously irresponsible.
Yeah.
Broderick's family leaves him too, but it's less of a surprise. You know, it requires less justification.
You could have just started this film about their family, and eventually you think she's going to leave him. Nothing to do with it. Like, even before Danny DeVito gets here, you can't keep up with that pace for that long.
It's a hard pace to keep up with, the Broderick pace, because it's slower.
It seems slow.
It's slower than the human mind is able to think. Hello, wife. Nope, I didn't get any of that. Try again.
And by dint of that, it seems light speed.
It's like
Crazy man.
It's staring into the Lovecraftian abyss. So there's a bit where Broderick fires rockets at George Bush Sr.'s house, and he accidentally reveals that he had the stolen tree in his house. Neither of these things have any consequences. So let's sum up.
Whatever.
Let's just conclude. Both families are staying in the same motel room across town, and the men agree there's only one way to get them back. They've got to get rid of the lights. They've got to discuss their differences like grown-ups and make a renewed promise to treat their wives and families with respect and to actually listen to their concerns and communicate about their own insecurities, especially around money. Just kidding, it's Christmas! That was a patented Paul Christmas cracker.
Oh, what? I wasn't expecting that.
No one does until it's in them. So what they actually do... What they actually do is they use the lights to create a garish illuminated pathway across town, blocking off traffic in several places, leading to an elaborate meal they've flawlessly managed to fund and cook, using recipes from the cookbook that the wives have managed to write and publish in the last 4 days.
That's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it, isn't it?
I tried everything.
Maybe not everything.
Not everything. You haven't tried lining up all your Christmas decorations from your front door to the motel door. Why don't you try doing that? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, they do. Look, they do all the things like decide to respect their wives more, but then they also do build the garish illuminated pathway across from the motel to their house. And I have no idea what distance that is. It could have been 50 meters and just terrible filmmaking.
It could have been a city.
Most likely 10 kilometers.
Well, speaking of inexplicable human achievements of them writing that cookbook, Broderick found time to call the entire town in between cooking an entire cookbook and rewiring a city.
It's allegory. And a very poor one.
Fuck off with allegory.
Who's anything?
Allegory.
Oh, it's Freddie's brother.
Oh, who's Freddie?
Freddie Gory.
Who's Freddie Gory?
Yes.
So the whole town shows up with more garish lights because that was the problem, not enough lights. And they put the Christmas tree on, and now it can be seen from actual space.
Great.
And the movie ends. That really is it. Jesus.
Pretty much. Who wins? What does who get out of what? Where's Dan Aykroyd?
Who gets
to
what
deliver
out of
the
whom?
message?
Yeah, that's what you needed. You needed Dan Aykroyd to show up and explain why we're all idiots.
Oh God, can we stop it now? Because it's one of these films like Love Actually, where the ending starts up and it just goes on and on and on, and it's one dreary pop song.
This could be the last
Yeah,
shot.
but Love Actually has
There we go.
Oh, thank God for that. Well, it wasn't really enjoyable on any level, I have to say.
I mean, the idea of Broderick was, oh, don't be so married to tradition that you're afraid to make new memories. You know, which is a thing.
Yeah.
It's actually something I can relate to. Sometimes I get a little too stuck on the idea of recreating the same things that were fun last year to, you know, open up to new fun stuff. The problem is 2% of the movie is committed to that. There's a couple of scenes. His rivalry with Danny DeVito is very little to do with the fact that Danny DeVito is, you know, breaking all of his traditions. There's a couple of bits like the choir and the rest. Most of the complaint Broderick has with DeVito is that he's a very bad neighbor who is stealing electricity, framing him for crimes, tricking him into spending tremendous amounts of money, and stealing his newspaper first and foremost. So, it's not so much the whole breaking tradition thing.
Yeah. The other thing I got from that was that Danny DeVito is a better Christmas guy than Matthew Broderick was.
That should have been the point. That so should have been the point to this. That whole space thing was madness. Just have it that DeVito wants to be the Christmas guy because he's not got much else going on. You know, maybe leave out the gorgeous wife, gorgeous kids, gorgeous job that he's incredibly good at. Maybe leave those out so that you can maybe give him some stakes.
Yeah, because I mean, Matthew Broderick is going through the town at the beginning, and he's a community figure, and people are asking him his opinion on Christmas things. Yeah, it's great. And I just thought that was what this film was going to be. Danny DeVito comes in, is a better Christmas boy.
Yeah,
and
a more
Matthew
garish,
Broderick
modern
refuses
Christmas
to be
boy.
Beaten on this, and they obscure the true meaning of Christmas.
Yeah,
but Danny DeVito, the whole thing it's like Anakin all over again. The whole thing hinges on him being a gullible fool.
Yeah,
And for him to suddenly be obsessed with this
space thing,
like whale of a house from space is moronic.
It's really nonsense, and it doesn't make sense, the motivations. And putting the scene in where the wife encourages him to carry on with it is baffling.
Yeah,
what on earth
are they doing? It's like we had this discussion on WhatsApp furiously after I finished watching it. Of how for me. For the most part, this is on par with the Cranks for me. Christmas with the Cranks, that is. And
it is a tight context.
But it has a sliver of a message at the end. Whereas Christmas with the Cranks was, you're actually wrong to want to go against Christmas tradition. Shame on you.
The difference is Christmas with the Cranks has a bad message that it just hammers into your face.
Yeah.
Whereas
like the Tories.
Deck the Halls has a good message that it includes in a line near the end.
Like Labour.
Yeah.
So... It's a very topical episode. I understand all the references at the beginning now. It's a crazy film with no clear message until the end, and then it's swamped again by the space thing.
Yeah.
Just not funny.
Yeah, that's first and foremost. It's just really not funny. It's a film built upon the idea of just a bunch of crazy madcap episodes that don't really play into each other. I mean, the payoff, the setup and payoff in this is just all over the place. The idea of establishing, why were there a bunch of animals at his house? If the goal was to be seen from space. If his goal is to be the great Christmas guy, then fine, animals make sense. But anyway, they keep introducing elements like, oh, the stolen tree is in his house. You know, that's a big deal. The tree that the whole town loves has now been placed in Matthew Broderick's house, but it doesn't pay off in any way.
No, and the car, nothing.
Yeah, the car just gets forgotten about, and also demonstrating that Broderick is rich enough to just, all right, fine, I will pay for the car, and it has no impact. A brand new minivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, I'll pay for it then.
Oh God, I'm sure for some people like The Good Doctor, this was comedy gold, but I don't derive any enjoyment from this kind of comedy. You know, I also have no investment in the community or any common threads that I share with any of these people. But then, I mean, I don't have any common threads with the Cult Society in Midsommar, so it's not like that in a vacuum.
You can still invest in it.
Is a deal breaker. It's just the message, the drive, the motivation of these people and the community are just things that I just never want to be a part of in fiction or truth.
It felt inauthentic and sort of lazy. And Matthew Broderick is such a strange lead.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
He's a very odd man. I've never I don't think I've ever really liked him in a thing. Even when he shows up in something like Manchester by the Sea, he's just... I always wonder, is the point that he's weird? Is it the point that he doesn't quite act like a normal human being does?
And it definitely played to his strengths.
Yes.
But, having said that, I rewatched The Cable Guy about a year ago, and I do still like him in that.
I like The Cable Guy. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Cable Guy's great. I can't think of anything, because after that he then became weird leading man for a while that never worked.
Like John Cusack.
Yeah, exactly. He's a left field kooky guy that works in very specific films.
And as he got older, it just became slightly stranger. His presence became more Nosferatu-esque. So yeah, it's a film that has a bad message, isn't very funny, and has a very strange leading guy.
Very strange.
Very strange. But there are still some good things to enjoy about it, so let's quickfire. Quickfire.
I liked when, at the very beginning, in fact, when he is, what's the word?
Optometristing?
Optometristing. He's in a consult with this elderly lady, and
I don't need glasses.
You need binoculars. We're settling for glasses.
I like that line.
It's a pretty good line.
It's what a professional, a medical professional would do.
It was a mild joke from a professional man, as you'd expect from Matthew Broderick.
Consummate professional.
I like the way it started with Christmassy music and a snowy town. Got me in the mood, you know?
Aww.
These movies are dreadful, but it's becoming a bit of a Christmas tradition in the Salt household, and I enjoyed that sort of nice slip back into the warm bath that is terrible festive movies.
The tepid bath. You thought was warm. But you just spent too long running away from hooligans.
But then Matthew Broderick is in it.
Matthew Broderick's also in his Home Alone house. It's very, very much a film of that ilk. House of that ilk.
Massive houses these Americans have. I wonder if they built the entire
Christmas
town.
Movie house, isn't it?
Yeah. We could have used the town from Christmas with the Cranks, but still got that Tim Allen stink in it.
Tim stank.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, okay. Whilst we're on lines that Broderick delivered well. He gets home and he has a bite of something, which I think the idea is he doesn't like, even though it's later meant to be that the wife's a good cook, I think. But,
yes.
Yeah, but he has a bite of something and says...
Gee, I sure hope there's more of that.
In quite a flat, kind of amusing way.
Oh. I quite like that exchange, actually, where she says something along the lines of, "It's awful, isn't it?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah."
Oh.
It's like, they love each other that much. They're actually that close. He could say that.
Oh.
Honesty's good.
Honesty is good, generally. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Shut up, big nose.
Oh.
There's Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito has a certain way of throwing rubbish in the bin. And it might be because of his height and in comparison to the rubbish, like the wheelie bin. He arcs his arm all the way over his head to throw the rubbish bin in the wheelie bin.
Oh yeah.
And it connected with it connected in a really satisfying way. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was a wordless shot. It was almost silhouetted. It was wonderful.
It was pure cinema. It was Buster Keaton. It was everything you want. In the dealership, I think he's meant to be Danny DeVito's boss, but he's the guy who just comes out to him and says,
"Welcome aboard. Sell. All right."
And just a very sort of Quentin Tarantino style, all right, as he sort of moves on. I quite liked.
Oh, nice. Very believable salesman, boss.
Yeah. God, imagine being the boss of salesmen. Talking yourself into that position. All right, day 5 of interviews. Why do you think you should be the manager here? Well, let me tell you about this, Bob. If you make me the manager of Bob's Cars, I think you'll find that you got nothing, have you? Hey, come back here. The one thing he couldn't sell was himself. Oh, Shyamalan.
House of Cards, this. Absolute House of Cards. I enjoyed the insane way in which Matthew Broderick opens his curtains to stare out at Danny DeVito's House of Lights.
I don't know what that is, but I just pictured Matthew Broderick staring out of a window, and it was maddening.
Yeah.
What I imagined.
Incomprehensible, undefinable nonsense.
Oh, there's some... Okay, things that don't pay off. It's implied that Danny DeVito doesn't get irony and takes everything literally, like Drax from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Nothing goes over my head. Catch it. But it never comes up again outside of the scene it's mentioned in, I don't think.
Do you have any idea what time it is?
What's the matter? All the clocks in your house busted?
No, I know what time it is.
It's just...
Yeah, it's the same with they say, let's start over, and he goes, hi, I'm Dave Hall, or whatever.
I'm Blood Dave Hall. Nice. Nice name.
I'm going to go on an expedition into the West.
What was that wolf cry? Oh, it happens whenever I say my name. Blood Dave Hall.
And actually, later on, when there's a callback to that "Let's Start Again" moment, and
there is a callback.
Matthew Broderick diplomatically sort of goes, "Hi, I'm blah," turning the tables, and it's a nice, cute little callback to that.
I think that was when I was halfway through falling off the sofa. It took me a while.
It could have been. I imagine pre-fall would have been pretty dramatic as well, because there's a lot of momentum.
There's a lot of build
inside yourself internally. Yeah,
it's like a tectonic shift. Oh, great. I love Broderick. Two things about the whole sleigh incident made me laugh. One is Broderick screaming inside of the ambulance. Just, which he does in short bursts.
Yeah.
Sort of just...
Calm down.
Which amused me. But then later on it's revealed that whilst he was sort of unconscious, they took a picture of him and then cropped him into the Christmas photo. And so there's just this hideous picture of him, sort of pale, dead-looking, and it's just the amusing idea that they felt that this was a good thing to do.
That was good. There was another bit in that that really made me laugh when Matthew Broderick's been pulled out and he's in the ambulance. And he's in this sleeping bag, and he goes, "Oh, where are my clothes?" And they say, "Oh, they're freezing and soaking wet. You're warmer here in the sleeping bag."
Yeah.
And it pans out as Danny DeVito is rubbing him to keep him warm, and reveals that Danny DeVito is also naked underneath the sleeping bag. That was fantastic. That pan out was perfect.
Excellent. There's never a bad pan out when it comes to a naked DeVito. I
like
the way. Okay, when the trees were actually burning in the fire. Look pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know if it, might just be me, but I think that when trees are burning, they just look pretty sexy.
Might be me, but I think fire's pretty erotic. I thought Danny DeVito diffusing the argument between him and Matthew Broderick in the first third of the movie was pretty convincing. It's like what a good salesman would do.
Yeah.
Not an idiot.
Yeah, and it breaks movie convention, where you think, oh, here we go. But then he's like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
They're going to have to find more subtle, nuanced ways of bringing... Oh, no, he's killed his actual daughter.
Skate fight.
When they're doing Christmas carols, the gag is going to be that the German couple are going to request a bunch of carols that, he's never heard of, but amongst the nonsense that he says is the ignorant snowman.
Yeah.
And I like that. It made me laugh because it does actually play into this actual thing in which German folk tales are often sort of morality tales in which an arrogant character gets his comeuppance. And this is sort of always put towards children. So the ignorant snowman was a plausible and amusing name for a German folk carol.
And the ignorant snowman also has such a lovely mouth sound to it as well, I think.
Yeah.
Very confrontational.
Yeah, and it makes you imagine what an ignorant snowman might look like. It's just wonderful. It's got so
very
many
good.
layers.
When Matthew Broderick flies over the car in the sleigh and the kid goes, "Santa, he's real, I knew it." It's not funny in itself, but the look the dad gives his son after this is pretty good. It's very much you're a dull boy, Billy.
God, it didn't take much, did it? You really full on believe that. Wow. Okay. The filming of the skate race was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was kind of dramatic, and it did a good job of keeping you in sort of seeing where everyone was, and I don't know, it was more competent than I expected and a little bit exciting.
Ooh.
Just a little bit. Who's going to win? What's going to happen?
I was very... the sport wins. I was invested in Matthew Broderick's skin suit. I was invested in his skate stop and his starting pose, all very professional.
Nice.
And I enjoyed that his character would be competitive enough to have to start that race properly, like a pro would.
Apparently, Broderick actually went away and learnt how to actually skate in order to do that sequence.
Oh, because, that's good.
Sometimes you have to go method. For some roles, it's just worth the effort.
Yeah. For some roles, hesitate to call it method because you think that's the least that an actor should do sometimes. I quite like the wives. They're very pleasant characters. They've got some issues with plot and
yeah. I mentioned to you, it's the comedy wife thing, where they're just saintly and nice and smiley. I mean, yes, these were particularly nice and saintly and smiley, but I don't know, I feel like...
I don't think she was saint. I don't think the other one was saintly, Danny DeVito's wife.
Well, no, she wasn't. You know, she wasn't in that sort of bland way, and she had a couple of amusing things. They kind of set her up. Again, this is just down to the mishandling of conventions, but they set her up to be the sort of vulgar alternative to Charlotte. You know, she's going to be the one who says crude things at the dinner table and gets everyone into jams, basically the Jill, you know, but then not really.
She wasn't actually crude in any way, really. She was just quite
not
nice
after
and likeable.
Not after the first 10 minutes.
I measured and the ceiling's too low in the bedroom. We're gonna have to get a shorter pole. Girls, get your butts down here. We've got company.
Gets dropped really quick.
It just seemed entirely normal to me. But yeah, but there's a bit where they're talking about Danny DeVito selling the vase, and Danny DeVito keeps going on about it, and she interrupts.
I'm just gonna take a couple of these branches off so that we get.
Not talking about the trees.
Really quickly. Very good delivery.
That's good. Oh yeah, I can't even remember who says it, but something happens and it's very unlike. Oh, I think it's when the rocket goes down the chimney. Matthew Broderick says,
"I really wish that hadn't happened."
Again, it's a very blunt way of saying it, which I enjoyed.
I like the NASA style bits that kept cutting back to is it Cal Penn?
Yes, it is Cal Penn.
Doing this really just rubbish, muddly English scientist.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the actual dialogue because it was quite a sprawling, rambling.
Well, my favourite one was...
Guys, thanks so much for spending your holiday plans with us.
Oh, no, that's no trouble at all. Actually, it's funny, Basil's mum stopped by with a tin of biscuits, so we're just having a laugh.
Yeah, and both times they talk about how, you know, they're set up to, you know, to set it up to see if we can see it from, see his house from space, and no, we can't. It cuts back to the news or whatever.
Yeah.
They're two really good cutaways there.
Yeah, really good stuff. I'm down to the last one, my last one, which is Charlotte's monologue, when she's kind of berating Tim Allen for being in this movie, and then she turns to her husband, and she tells him, you know, she basically lays out the idea of tradition versus spontaneity and that whole thing.
You said this year our kids needed Christmas more than ever. No. What they need more than ever is you. Carter wanted to go Christmas shopping with you. And he wanted to cut down that tree with you. And Madison, well... Madison's a teenage girl, so she just pretty much ignored you. But if you'd been paying attention, you would have seen that she just wants you to know that she's not a little girl anymore. Christmas traditions are born in those little chocolate milk and french fry moments. And you can't control it. We don't fit in the tiny little boxes on your Christmas calendar.
And again, if this was the point of the movie, that would have been great, but it wasn't. But it was still nice to have that little bit in there, and I felt Charlotte did it quite well.
Yeah, cool.
Nevertheless, shut up, Charlotte.
Well, I do have one more, and it's not Charlotte related. You'll be pleased to hear.
Thank God, am I right?
I know, she's actually the worst. Definitely, demonstrably. Yeah, when Carter runs down the stairs from the motel at the end to go down their sort of horrible, disruptive light walkway, he slips as he goes down the stairs, and I guess that was just a goof that was kept in.
Oh, we did a goof.
Yeah, and that was a sort of we'll use it. It's great, dramatic,
goofy moment
cinema.
From a goofy boy.
Oh,
beautiful, and what a satisfying place to end our list of good things on. Because ultimately, yeah, it's a film with the sort of doorbells, the doorbells, the doorbells of Christmas cheer. It's got all the accoutrements and hangings and drippings of a Christmas movie. And, you know, maybe that's enough to give you a little bit of Christmas cheer in there. It's just a shame about the whole spiritual side of the thing and the comedy side of the thing. If the movie was funny, it would forgive an awful lot.
It really would.
Yeah.
Doorballs of Christmas Cheer sounds like an Arthur Conan Doyle book.
And God bless it for that. All right, Paul, how about the OGTeam?
Well, I sent it.
OGTeam have sent us things on the eve of Christmas. What have they got to say to us in this evening?
Actually nothing, because I messaged them about an hour and a half ago. I forgot. It's been busy. And, yeah, I messaged people who may or may not be awake, and then gave them an hour to respond.
Look, Katie's seen it. She apparently was watching it with, I think she said, Matt, and they watched 15 minutes of it and saw that Danny DeVito's a used car salesman, and then just couldn't put up with that anymore and
that was the limit.
Just left their homes. Yeah,
right.
They left their homes and they haven't been back since.
Do
you know what? I went and saw some carols yesterday, and you know Hallelujah? Handel?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. One of the guys in the choir came in just a tad too early on the Hallelujah, which was marvellous, because it was the last one, that sort of Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And just the last bit, it's just a sort of Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Wait, what was that? Back off, back up, stop. Everyone stop.
Play the tape back, Barry. We're all going to listen to this idiot.
We're going to find him and his family.
I forgot to mention it was J.K. Simmons conducting the orchestra. He threw an organ at one of the guys playing. Took ages.
Ripped out the wall.
20 minutes later, we're still sat there. We're only on the third day of Christmas. This is going to take forever. All right. Well, how about the one better thing? The one better thing.
Jingle all the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. That's the real story of Christmas dads trying to be the best Christmas dad and realizing the true meaning of Christmas. There's also a jetpack involved.
That's the real Christmas dad. There was one in this one too. All right, my one. Sorry. I think I was expecting more, and I was just suddenly found myself at the end, and I was like, "Oh."
I think you got to match what is being brought to the table, and I had to match Matthew Broderick.
All that natural timing that he's got. Every so often, you'd see Charlotte just, "Oh yeah, okay. What do you mean?"
You didn't know if Matthew Broderick was meant to continue speaking. He'd finished his line on a weird inflection and was just staring now into the distance until his next line.
I finished talking. My one better thing.
Oh.
Is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, directed by Jeremiah Chechik, who also directed The Avengers 1998. Fantastic.
Lovely.
What a lovely man. Yes, you just be honest, this film also feels somewhat underpopulated in terms of the town they live in. Oh well. No, it's a festive classic, isn't it? It's the Griswolds, Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo and Juliette Lewis and the rest. And they're just trying to have Christmas. There's actually very little storyline. If there's a through line, I guess it's that Clark wants to build a swimming pool and depends upon his Christmas bonus to get it done, but the boss is being a bit stingy and it's at risk, and there might be a bit of a tension there. But more or less, it's just a series of episodes that focus in on incredibly well-observed Christmas rituals. The family showing up, the decorations having to be put up, and the various difficulties, but all with this kind of very devilish sense of humor to it. And it's back when Chevy Chase really cared a lot about his comedy, and it shows. And he was a very interesting performer, kind of creepy a lot of the time, but in a way that is actually endearing, where you can actually tell that he, he's just a nice guy who wants to do Christmas well, is the thing. And just wonderful little bits like the Christmas tree that they get, which is far too big for their house, and they cut the ropes and it just smashes all of their windows, and then covers everyone in sap. And the yuppie couple next door who end up sort of constantly bemused by the Griswolds' attempt to have a good Christmas, which somehow is always at their expense. Yeah, little lines that are quite funny, little quips that are great, many of which stem from Griswold just being a bit of a jerk, but a relatable jerk. As well, so yeah,
best kind.
If anything, leaning into the character being a jerk actually helps you get away with it. So yeah, it's Christmas with the Cranks. Yeah, that's it. It's National Lampoon's Christmas with the Cranks is my favorite film of the year. I can't even remember how to sign this off.
A favorite film of 2022.
Oh God, and that's the one better thing. The one better thing. Paul, how can people find out more about the Christmas thing?
You can go ho ho.
Love it. God, he's wearing a t-shirt, people at home. It's just wrong.
Do you think that's going to be the moment when we're going to finally get Catherine Tate's audience? And all the Little Britain fans. Man. And they're all going to go, I think love that. Can I get that on a t-shirt? Yes, you can. This is the moment.
I think we're en route to winning the next election, mate.
It did sound like a soundbite, didn't it?
I can get behind it.
Well, if you want to go ho-ho into this time of
it
healing...
wasn't good the second time.
No. No, the second one was a Boris Johnson reference.
Oh, okay. Well, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. That's actually great.
It's actually electable.
If you want to Christmas your way into Christmas podcast, then you can do so on Twitter and Facebook, OGTpod. You can send us an email at gmail@ogtpod at gmail.christmas. And if you want to tell a friend, do that. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. The jokes and the puns are coming thick and fast as evidence. Yeah, we're proud members of the A Lot of Green Network. If you want to catch us and other Christmassy... it's not working anymore. Only have one pun, one and done. One and pun.
One and pun. That was a contradiction. It's a paradox. No!
So as we slip away into oblivion, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah. Hark, see the films, terrible films, all seem to say, throw this away. But pause are here, bringing good cheer to young and soiled. Oh, how they toiled. Bad film, good thing, that is their wrong. Finding good things, all contriving. One seems to see poor film quality from everywhere, filling the screens. Oh, how crappy are their films, terrible films, and Christmas is here. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. Merry, 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 merry Christmas. On they watch, on without stop, finding good things in every film. Crap film, good things.